Hello everybody and welcome back to your computer science tutorial. This is section 6, video 4. And basically all of section 6 will be talking about arrays and loops. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what is an array? And why should I even care about it? Well, an array is basically a more complicated type of variable. So it's like, how is it more complicated? Well, you see right here I have a binder, and now in a binder you can have a lot of different pieces of information, say the size of something, different facts about them. However, a binder allows you to compartmentalize similar types of information. Say you have a lot of history notes. You're going to add all the history notes together to form a big history array, which contains everything there is about history. And that's a lot of what loops and arrays can accomplish. Arrays are just a way to group things together that you're going to call forward again. And they're very good at storing information. That's the main part of arrays. So, let's load Unity up and dig right into this topic. So the type of array we're going to be talking about today is going to be called built-in arrays. Now, this is important. These type of arrays cannot be resized. So you might be wondering, well, that doesn't seem all too useful. I can't resize them. Then what good are arrays? Well, they're actually a lot of good, and we're going to find out in a few minutes why. So let's make a script. We'll call it the array script. And let's open this script up. And a lot of what we're doing today is I'm not going to be showing you like we're not creating a complex thing. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be just learning the basics to arrays. So we're not going to need the update function, but we will need the start function. So first thing is first. How do we declare an array? Well, the easiest way to declare an array is to type variable, the name of the array. So we'll call this now. Let's call it the binder. Sounds nice, the binder, the binder, because it sounds powerful. And we can do this two ways. We can do it like this, and you can make an array out of any variable type. Any variable type. Yeah, I think any variable type. I hope I don't bite myself in the butt there, but basically anything in Unity. So you can make an integer array. You do it like this. Binder sounds more like a string though, so we'll make a string array. And the brackets afterwards are very important. That denotes that it's of type array. You can also do it like this. So we'll say the numbers instead, because we'll make a numbers thingy. I don't know. And in fact, we'll do it a different way. So what I've done here now is that you're wondering, well, why do you have this equals new int thingy without like semicolons? And the reason why we have no semicolons is because this is something known as implicit variable types. Because I declare it immediately afterwards, I'm implying that its type will be a int array, so I don't need to set the variable type with the semicolon, or no, the colons. And you can actually do this with everything. Declaring them though is definitely smarter, because say if you have a number and you want it to equal like 100, it will automatically be denoted as probably a float value, and float values hold less than doubles in size of information. So a double can hold more than a float, but because of implicit variables, the double won't be there. It'll be a float instead. Just things you should know. So we can also let's make a transform array, and let's call it let's call it game. Let's store, what do we want to store? Let's store some game objects. Game objects. And we'll have it equal, let's have game objects array, and let's put 6 in. Now, this array is going to have a size of maybe 6. We'll see. We might change that. But it's important to notice that arrays, when I say 6, what I really am trying to say is from we have an object in 0, we have an object in 1, we have an object in 2, 3, 4, and 5. We never actually get to number 6. It's just an odd thing that computers do, because computers start counting from 0 instead of 1. So we live with that. And so now we have our 6 objects, and, well, we can go a little bit further here. So let's put some things into this. What we can do is that we can declare values beforehand. So 5, and this is of int type, so I can't put any decimals or really, really large numbers. 2, say 100, and like 6, and like 4, and whatever, 3. And if we were to save this now, I get a ton of errors. Why do I get a ton of errors? Let's find out. I missed something very dumb, I bet. Right here. I probably declared these wrong, maybe? No. What did I do wrong here? No, that doesn't look right. 1 minute. I'm going to figure out what happened there. Okay, sorry about that, guys. You can't, this is a built-in type, so you actually cannot do it explicitly like that without doing some other stuff, which we'll talk about later. But, so let's leave these for now. Let's leave 6, and if we load, you'll see we have no errors. So let's move on. So when we denote objects like this, or variables like this, we can set them in the inspector. Only built-in arrays can be set in the inspector. And you'll notice that if we go to the, God, if I could click it, the numbers, it'll automatically start out with 6. And by default, 0's in every one of them. So let's put some values in. Actually, let's leave this one blank. So let's leave all these values at 0. And let's set our game objects array to have some stuff in it. Let's see, just put some random objects in. It doesn't really matter. And we will, if I don't cover the things, so much harder than it looks. Okay. So now that we have some values in it, we want to know what these values are. But we want to know it inside the code. So a way of doing this is we're going to write a for loop. Now, you're like, okay, I remember for loops. They look something like this. Variable, we'll say index, and that variable will be an integer, and it will equal 0. And we need it to go from, while the index is some condition about the index. So we'll say less than 6. And then we need to have a rule afterwards so that it doesn't make an infinite loop for this. And then we want to show what game objects is actually a terrible name. I'm going to switch that. We're going to write that, because this might give us some weird errors that we don't want to have to deal with. So there we go. And that's not going to do anything, actually. We have to do we're just going to log it in the debug. And we want to log the name. So now if we were to run this, you'll see object reference. We get this weird error, and we don't really know why. We look here, we have no game objects because, did I set while we were running? Yes, I did. Okay. So we know why. It's because we didn't have any game objects there. So of course it's going to give us a no reference error because, well, we're not referencing anything, so it's just getting confused. So I had to put these things back in because I was in game mode when I put them in the first time. I swear, I make that mistake so much. Now, if we run, you'll see, oh yay, it shows all of these objects. But now let's change something. Let's change the size from 6 to 7. And you'll see it'll copy the whatever's in element 5 again, which is fine. And we actually need to run that in non-inspector. And now let's run it. And you're going to see something strange. You won't see something strange. What will happen is when we change it to 5, you're going to notice right away something that doesn't happen right. We get this error. And it says array index is out of range. And if we were to travel to 7, so let's set the size to, let's close this number as array, set the size to 7. You'll also notice it doesn't show me every single object. I only get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 6 names when I want 7. So that's a big problem. Well, the reason why this happens is because if we stop playing and look back at our code, we hard-coded a number. And since you might not be able to change the size of these arrays easily, however, what we can do is we can not know what the size is. So if we set it in the inspector, we might not know how many objects are in an array. So the easiest way to deal with this problem is that we need to find out the length of the array. Now, that sounds very complex of how are we going to find the length of this object. Well, there's actually a built-in value for this. And if I spelt that right, it should just work just dandy. If we run, boom, we get perfect amount. Say we do 3. Wait for, well, it's in 7 still. I can't stop now. Okay, so let's say we get 3. Wait for it. Boom, only 3. So now that you see, well, okay, this is going good. But the game objects thing is cool, but how do we can we change the values? And the answer is absolutely. We can absolutely change it. So let's change from game objects length to the numbers. I like numbers. There's multiple. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the numbers, not the binder, the numbers, and we're going to index it. Index is just a thing is just a variable name. You could switch index to whatever you want. Just make sure your for loop has a continuity. And we will set what about the index? Let's set the index, that number, equal to 5 times the index. And we could do some more logic afterwards to check what's going to happen to it when we change sizes. But for now, let's leave it at that. And if we were to play this, you'll see if we go back to this object in the numbers thing right here. When I run this, boom, changes the values from 0 to 25. So that's all cool and dandy. You can do a lot of different types of math with these and put if statements in. and make it so you can put a whole bunch of different numbers based off a formula. But that's not really what we're interested in as game developers. We are more interested in the game objects type, because a lot of the time we want to store game objects in it. But for now, that's all we're going to show for this video. So come back next time and you'll learn a little more about